Adam Lanza allegedly became a recluse during his final years, hiding in his bedroom with his windows blacked out, playing violent video games, and chatting on anarchical websites while plotting mass murders on a 7-foot by 5-foot spreadsheet.
On the 13th of December, Adam Lanza went to the school, a couple of officials have told us, and got in some kind of altercation, is the word that they use, between him and 4 other staff members. Now, they say that of the 4 staff members that he got into an argument with, 3 were killed in yesterday's shooting. A 4th person was not there. And I want to ask you something that Pete Williams reported first on Saturday. He said there had been some kind of an altercation at Sandy Hook Elementary School the day before the shootings, and that it was believed Adam Lanza might have been involved in that altercation with up to 4 teachers or administrators. Can you shed any light on that?
That's been spoken about a great deal during the number of press conferences that we've had, and we've been able to look at that and find out that there was no report of any altercation involving the shooter, the suspect, if you will, at all at that facility.
And the gunman was identified at 11:28 as, again, 24-year-old Ryan Lanza of New Jersey.
They're doing background investigations into the shooter, but they're also going to locations associated with the shooter, not just directly associated with Ryan Lanza, his residence, and they're looking for a location in New Jersey there.
Cops have identified the shooter as a 24-year-old man, Ryan Lanza.
We have just now confirmed apparently the shooter is identified. He is 20-year-old Ryan Lanza.
Immediately after the event, Ryan Lanza was taken into custody for what they claimed was his own protection. Peter Lanza was also able to avoid the media shortly after Maggie Gordon, a Stanford Advocate reporter, confronted him at his Stanford home. Both he and Ryan, upon leaving the police station, can be seen fleeing from the cameras. Shortly after the event, Edelman, the largest independent public relations firm in the world, would become the spokespeople for the Lanzas. Here we have our first witness account, Natalie Hammond, who was said to have been hit in her foot, leg, and hand, reported that she saw the gunman wearing a mask. Hammond's account of a mask is scattered throughout the police report and later relayed by news outlets and people she knew. The gunman was wearing a dark hat and mask. Hammond related that she saw a person with a mask and that Hochsprung and Sherlach had been shot. That Hammond told her that the shooter had been wearing a mask. But Hammond did tell her that the shooter was wearing a mask. She stated she thought he had a black mask on. Also recall that the Newtown Bee released an article quoting Principal Don Hochsprung's account of the initial events. The Bee later retracted the article because Don Hochsprung was supposedly already dead. In the article, the Bee states, Principal Don Hochsprung told the Bee that a masked man entered the building. Would the Newtown Bee mistake Natalie Hammond with Don Hochsprung? She stated she thought he had a black mask on. This alarmed me because the lone gunman, who was down, had no mask. We had received a description that the shooter was dressed in all black and wearing a mask. She reported the shooter was wearing black and had a mask. This was not what we had observed in room 10. According to the report, the next area Lanza went was the main office where the secretary was hiding. The secretary states, I saw a man standing in the lobby facing down the primary hallway to the first grade and second grade classrooms. The man appeared white and was wearing a soft rim type hat and dark sunglasses. She then states she ran and hid under her desk and reported, the door to the office opened and I heard footsteps of a person walking across the floor. I couldn't see anything, I just heard footsteps. Nancy arrived home the night of December 13th. On the following morning, it is said she was shot 4 times while sleeping in her bed. These are photographs of Nancy's bedroom taken from the police report. It is interesting to note that in the on-scene call log, it is reported that the Savage .22 caliber rifle that Adam allegedly used had 3 live rounds and only 1 spent round, contradicting the photographs of the spent shell casings on the floor. There were also traces of DNA found on the trigger of the Bushmaster rifle, the pistol grip of the Bushmaster rifle, the shoulder stock of the Bushmaster rifle, a chambered round, the feed area and side of the magazine, and the cartridges from the magazine. Both Adam and Nancy were eliminated as contributors to the DNA found on those items. Whose DNA it was remains a mystery. There was also DNA found on the .22 caliber cartridges found in Nancy Lanza's bedroom. When police ran the DNA through the database, the results came up empty. The forensic team also did bullet evidence analysis. They attempted to test unused ammo found at the crime scene to prove the 5.56 caliber bullets were fired by the Bushmaster rifle. Their results state, no positive identification could be made to any of the bullet evidence submissions noted above in 5.56 millimeter caliber. The physical condition of the bullet jacket surfaces were severely damaged and corroded. The Bushmaster rifle cannot be eliminated as having fired the 5.56 caliber bullet evidence examined. They also compared the alleged suicide bullet found in the ceiling to other unused 10mm bullets found at the scene. However, no positive identification could be made during these examinations. They all lacked sufficient striae for comparison. A flex-fit hat with a bullet hole in the forward portion of the top of the hat and some hairs sticking out is seen within the police report. The hairs were not tested to see if they matched Lanza. The police report describes the hole in the gunman's hat along with his entry and exit wound thusly. This hole was consistent with having been worn by the shooter at the time the shooter received a bullet to the right rear lower portion of his head, which exited out the top portion of his head and hat. So, according to the police report, Adam Lanza received a bullet to the back of his head, which exited out through the top. This is in direct contradiction to the autopsy report. The final medical examiner's report on Adam Lanza's anatomical diagnosis indicates he committed suicide from an intraoral gunshot wound.